Alright, today I'm making another countertop, and what I've done differently this time is I've pre-made the substrate board. I've used some 3/4 inch red oak plywood, and I've pieced together an extra piece down in the front so I get a bigger lip in the front as well as support in the back, and I've attached a standard 4-inch high backsplash. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use a brake press to do the bending of the sheets so I get some cleaner edges. It still can be done by hand, but you're not going to get as nice of 90-degree bends. And what I've done is I made a pre-sample piece to test out so I know that it'll fit on the sheet like that. So what we've got, I'm just going to be bending it right back around. So this is all one piece. This is our 027 by 39, which gives you plenty of extra width to do the entire countertop seamless in one piece. And so I'm doing a 9-foot countertop here. I've got my sink cut out right here. So I'm going to be routering this out, and I'll be dropping in a stainless steel sink. And down here where I've got my 8-foot and my additional piece, I'm going to screw down these two pieces to another 3/4 inch board down below and sand this down so it's nice and flat. Mark each side of the sheet and where the bends will be. Alright, so what we did here, instead of doing one piece, we got it, just did this one bend up front, and we used a separate piece for the backsplash. We've got coming up and then bending it back on itself. We just screw this into position. I'm just using a Sikaflex.wmv construction sealant. Spread it out on the countertop and use a notched trowel to spread it out over the sheet. So now we've got full coverage. Alright, here we go again. I got the Sikaflex spread out. You want to get as much coverage as possible, so you can use a 1/4 inch or maybe an 1/8 inch triangle trowel. Try to spread it out as thin, as evenly as possible. Alright, so what we did here, we put down a couple 100 pounds displaced over the plywood so it gets nice and a lot of pressure, and I also clamped a 2x4 up against the backsplash to help keep pressure on that. We'll go ahead and let this glue down and dry overnight, and tomorrow we can take everything off and go from there. Alright, here's the small countertop. I basically just bent the ends down and shot some screws in there to hold it down. I'm going to come back here and solder and grind down this seam, along with, I had to put a little piece in here to fill the gap, and I'll solder these joints up here and then grind all that down. Same for my long piece. Right now I'm gluing the backsplash, so I'm clamping from wood to wood. I've got a 2x4 by 10, clamping it down. And on this edge, the other side is going up against a wall, but this edge will be the same. I'm going to solder this seam right here. I'm going to add a little filler piece in here and just screw down the bottom. Alright, so I just cut this little piece. I'm just going to slide this piece up here, and then I can attach and solder these two. So I got some corners to solder, so you want to just kind of brush them up with some steel wool to kind of get rid of all the oxidation, help clean them. And then I'm just taking some of the golden flux. I'm going to brush it on pretty generously. I'm using a copper-tipped soldering iron that you heat up in a flame, gets it pretty almost red hot. And I'll just start from the bottom and work my way up. You can kind of go back and forth and touch up the areas that you missed. I think I got all of it. Now I'll let it cool and go back and kind of sand it and grind it down. Alright, I just used some 500 and 1000 grit sandpaper, so it's really fine. And I kind of just buffed down the entire sheet to give it a nice uniform matte finish, which kind of takes off some of the scratches during fabrication. With all the seams, it's kind of a balance between grinding, sanding, and doing patch-ups on different holes to see where you need to fill in, and you can get the corner pretty smooth and concise. And the solder is a fairly close match, and as this patina is, they all come closer together. And here's a little one. Alright, I just used a router with a carbide tip, and I routed out the countertop, and we've got a stainless steel sink sunk down in here now. Alright, here's the finished product.